Hey everyone, it's Emily. Today's video is going to be a book tag video. I'm going to be doing the Intimidating TBR Book Tag. So I have been very open about me finding some books intimidating. This year I had a few reading challenges to try and help me conquer that fear, especially about big books. So I have the questions on my phone. I'm going to be trying to answer all of them. So let's do this. Question number 1. What book have you been unable to finish? The last book that I DNF, I believe, was Altered Carbon by Richard Morgan. I don't DNF books often. I really try not to, but I just couldn't deal with this one. The premise was intriguing. It's kind of a futuristic world where people kind of put their mind into clones if they have the money and the means to do it. And I DNF'd the book at 120 pages because of the weird sexual content. The main character, literally, there's 5 pages in a row where there's the word boobs and penis getting hard out of nowhere. And weird things, he goes to a hotel to sleep and he's like, we have to be told that he's trying to masturbate, but not really into it. Because that brought a lot to the story. And I ended up DNFing it at, like I said, 120 whenever there was a really, really awkward sex scene. So awkward. So yeah, that is the last book that I DNF'd. And I don't think I've ever DNF'd a book this quickly. Usually I will try to push and try to read at least half the book, but yeah, 120. That's a record for me. Question number 2. What book have you yet to read because you just haven't had the time? Most of my TBR. I think I'm gonna go with this one. This is A Savage Song by Victoria Schwab because I have been meaning to read this for at least a year. I've been putting this on TBRs. It's currently this year in my top 18 books that I want to read in 2018 and I still haven't read it. And I just have no real reason as to why I haven't read this yet. So yeah, it's not that small. It's fairly big. There's a little over 400 pages, but it's YA. It's written really big. And the reviews have been fairly positive, so I am excited to read it, but I've just not been picking it up. And I guess because I haven't had the time. But again, that would probably be most of my TBR. What book have you yet to read because it's a sequel? Once again, so many books. There are probably a few books that I could mention here, but I'm going to mention this one first. This is Wind Witch by Suzanne Denard. I read the first one, which was True Witch, and I enjoyed it. It's a fun YA fantasy where there is a friendship between the two girls, and it's fascinating. I like the world building and I like the magic system the most. I didn't really care for the romance that was starting at the end of the first book, but I have been once again putting this on my TBR for a few months and I still haven't read it for no reason. I believe the third book should come out maybe this year, maybe next year. I believe it's kind of soon, so I need to read it. And I had enjoyed the first one, just I haven't picked up the second one. This one too, I feel like this one definitely needs to be here. It's a really big book. There are over 500 pages. Crooked Kingdom by Leigh Bardugo. This is the second book in this duology, Six of Crows duology. I read the first one earlier this year, and I have been putting this on 2 TBRs so far, and I've yet to read it. I do want to read it. It's a YA fantasy. I enjoyed the world, but I feel like the first book was overhyped, and it kind of made me not want to continue too much. Because I'm scared I'm not going to like the second one, you know what I mean? So I prefer having it on my shelves and being hopeful than actually reading it and then having yet another unpopular opinion. So yeah, I haven't read this because it's the second book and I'm kind of scared. How do people only choose one book to talk about? I could name so many. The next question is, what book have you yet to read because it's brand new? Once again, so many. Which is also a sequel, for example. I have Only Human by Sylvain Neuvel, which is the third book in the Thames Files series, which is a sci-fi thriller-ish series. They're really short books, very action-packed, about giant robots, basically. And I enjoyed the first 2 books. The third book just came out earlier this month, or last month. No, this month, I believe, in May. And I am waiting for it from my library. Basically, that's my excuse for not having read it. But there's so many I could name, so many books. Let me go on Libby, my library app, to just see all the books I'm waiting for, because so many are There's a brand new book that I'm waiting for. I have, a new YA book that is pretty popular is Leah on the Offbeat by Biggie Abatelli, same author from Simons versus the Homo Sapien Agenda. I want to read it because the first one, they're not related, but Simon one was summary, like it's a contemporary, so I'm hoping that this one is also going to be like that and I'm gonna like the characters. There's All the Beautiful Lies by Peter Swanson, which is a thriller, I believe. I read 2 of his books and they're really, really good. So many twists, so I'm hoping that this one is also going to be good and it's very new. I have a bunch of thriller mysteries that I mentioned during my library TBR, but a few are more recent that I added on to my waiting list, including Sometimes I Lie by Alice Feeney. Then She Was Gone by Lisa Jewell, Dead Girl Running by Christina Todd, The Innocent Wife by Amy Lloyd. Like, I have a bunch of books. Basically, this what I prefer using my library for. What they're good for is the new books, just that the waiting lists are really, really long. But yes, so many books I haven't read yet because they are new and I'm still waiting for them. Question number 5. What book have you yet to read because you read a book by the same author and didn't enjoy it? I'm gonna name a few books because I have so many answers, and I mean, at the end of the day, it's kind of interesting to get more answers, right? The first one is this one. This is Abandoned by Blake Crouch. I loved Dark Matter by Blake Crouch and the Wayward Pine series by him. However, I bought 3 books from him, and the 2 other ones, I hated them. So this one is the last one that I have from him. And I'm kind of not in a rush to read it because I'm scared I'm gonna hate it as much as the 2 other ones. It feels like his writing really, really drastically improved for his newer books, but I don't know where that one stands. I believe the last one I had read was 2011 and this one is 2012. Maybe it's better. Yeah. I hope I will like it, but I haven't read it yet because of that. The next one's gonna be controversial. I didn't hate the other one, so maybe I shouldn't include it, but whatever. I know. Golden Sun by Pierce Brown. I didn't hate the first one, it's just that it did not live up to the hype. I thought it was kind of a mix of Game of Thrones and Hunger Games, I guess. And I know everyone loves this series, but I just thought it was okay, so I'm kind of scared to continue. Because what if it gets even worse? I haven't read the Infernal Devices trilogy by Cassandra Clare because I have yet to finish the 3rd book in the Mortal Instruments series, and the first 2 were some of the first books that I've read when I started BookTube, and I feel like my taste has changed / like I'm harsher in my rating because I've read so many books, so it's easier for me to rate them in my opinion. And I feel like I gave the first one like 3.5, but eventually reduced it to 3, and now if I were to read it, I think I would probably give it 2 stars because the twist at the end was freaking ridiculous, and like I'm not even sure I'm gonna continue the series. I do still want to because I feel like it would be interesting to read it as an adult compared to a lot of people that have been reading it as teenagers. I feel like you become more critical, especially when you read a bunch of books. Yeah, I have not read this because I don't really care for the books that I've read from her. The writing wasn't excellent. I can see why people like the characters in the world, but everything else is kind of a weakness to me, like the dialogues, so everyone says that this series is better, but I've yet to read it because I wasn't impressed by the other ones. I feel like I can name other ones, like I haven't read The Blinding Knife by Brent Weeks because I read The Black Prism by him last year, and oh, was I frustrated by this book because I love the magic system. It's basically magic, they use colors for it, and yes, it reminds me a lot of Warbreaker by Brandon Sanderson, but I still think there was some good bits in it. There was some interesting things about the plot, but it was just really sexist and really immature, and I have been dreading reading the second one because of this. Have you seen the size of this thing? And I feel like if I were to read it, I'm still planning to, but like I feel like I would literally need a video just to rant about it. Like I would go into it prepared with my post-it to just like bash it, you know what I mean? So like I've been pushing it, so maybe I'll calm down enough that I will be able to enjoy it. But I'm kind of dreading it. It is pretty big, like I said. There are over 600 pages, so I have to commit to the whole thing if I decide to read it, so I'm just waiting. And same thing with his other trilogy that I have, the Night Angel one, which is like older, and apparently it's even worse sexism wise, so I don't know. I want to read it. I want to love it. Like, that's what pisses me off. It's just that there's potential, so I really want to read this book and love it, and I kind of know I'm not gonna, so. Next question is, what book have you yet to read because you're just not in the mood for it? I am a mood reader, so that makes sense. I can't just name one, so a bunch of answers. The first one is The Husband's Secret by Liane Moriarty. I loved Big Little Lies by her, and I just haven't picked it up because I know it's going to be, well, I'm hoping it's going to be like the other one, and it's going to be like me really caring about the characters and kind of a chick lit fun version of a mystery. So I'm kind of keeping those books for the summer, so I'm just not in the mood to read it right now, but it's coming for sure, and I am hoping I'm going to really like it. So yes, it's not that I'm dreading to read it, it's just I'm waiting to be in the mood for it. I have a nonfiction book. This is The Emperor of All Maladies by Siddhartha Mukherjee. And this is a nonfiction about cancer, basically, and I just haven't been in the mood to read it yet. I feel like I might try to get it as an audiobook, which, what the hell? I got it used and there's like a big plastic thing sticker stuck in there, so I'm gonna not be able to read this part. What? Okay. So clearly I haven't read it yet because I hadn't noticed, but yeah, I think I might start it as an audiobook or something to try and like get me in the mood for it. But I feel like nonfiction, especially about serious subject, you kind of have to be in the mood for them. So yes, I want to read it. It is pretty big and scary, especially nonfiction when they're big. But I just haven't been in the mood for it. Another one would have to be, it's kind of a funny story by Ned Vizzini. And this one is a fiction book about, I believe it is depression or something. It is also about a suicide, and the author did eventually kill himself. So it's definitely a sad story and it could be triggering. And during the winter, I get kind of depressed because of the weather. So I just didn't want to pick this up and make things worse for me. So maybe during the summer I will pick it up if I'm in the mood for it. But yes, I will definitely wait for this book for the right moment for it. Otherwise, it could become way worse. Same thing actually for The Bell Jar by Sylvia Plath. I did start it and it was fine. It's just that it's also another book that might depress me. So I decided to put it back and wait for a less depressing time of the year. Next question is, what book have you yet to read because it's humongous? Well, if you don't know, one of my goals this year, one of my reading challenge was to read big books because I'm scared as crap of them. And I have so many, so I didn't want to repeat the ones that are right here because those are like my TBR every month. If you don't know, I pick up one of them in this cute little cat jar and I have to read it. With that said, I have so many other big books on my shelves which I've been dreading to read because of their size. If I were to only choose one, I think I would have to go with something like this. War and Peace by Leo Tolstoy, because not only is it one of the biggest books ever, it's also a classic. It's a translation from Russian, so I'm expecting to find it super long, and I know there are some like really lengthy bits of like random descriptions, and yeah, they're like 1.4K pages. This is literally a dictionary. The pages are really thin and they're way too many, so yes, I have yet to read this because of how big it is, but I am making progress about humongous books and being scared of them, so eventually, maybe, I'm hoping to read it. I did watch the TV series, which was really good, so I'm hoping to eventually pick it up, but it's so scary. Number 9, what book have you yet to read because it was a cover buy that turned out to have poor reviews? I don't tend to do cover buys with poor reviews, or at least the ones that I have made are pretty recent, so the only one I can think about is The Light Between Oceans by M.L. Stedman, and I'm not sure how bad the reviews are. It's just that I bought it because of the gorgeous cover, and then I realized that it's kind of a love story slash everything about a baby left in the ocean. Someone adopts it and then the mom is trying to actually find the baby again, and it's just not something I'm interested about at all. So I may watch the movie since there's a movie, but I don't think I'm gonna actually end up reading this. Number 9, what is the most intimidating book on your TBR pile? I feel like that should still be War and Peace. I mean, who isn't freaking scared of that one? It's probably the biggest book that I own. Although I could also mention this one. Here, I think this is my biggest book. It is technically 3 books and 1 novella. So technically it's almost 4 books in one. But this book has 1,440 pages. So it is the biggest book that I own. So I think this should count as the most scary book ever. But I think the scariest bit for me is the fact that I am scared of not liking this. I've heard so many great things. I didn't even say what it is, but it is the Inheritance trilogy by N.K. Jemisin. I really, really want to like her. However, I think I'm more excited about her, the 5th season. This is the first book in the other trilogy that she has. And I kind of go back and forth between which one I should read first, because I feel like the reviews are a little bit more all over the place with this one than the other most recent trilogy. So yeah, I think I'm really scared of it because of its size, but also I'm scared of not loving it. But really, let's be real, it's probably mostly because of the size of it. It's so big. Yeah, so it's probably the one I'm the most scared about that I'm planning actually to read like this year. So, I mean, if I read this, like, I deserve praises. Like, actually, I need to read it this year because I would be so proud of myself. Like, so proud. I could just be like, look at what I read. So yeah, I think this is the most scary book on my bookshelf. With that said, there are a few other books that I am pretty scared and intimidated by. Like a lot of like classic sci-fi, the ones that are really big. This is technically the next one I'm supposed to be reading, which is Pandora's Star by Peter F. Hamilton. And I'm kind of scared of these because not only are they big, this one has almost 1,000 pages. And I feel like pretty much all of his books are this big. I'm scared of them because I am also scared to not like them as much as other people. They're quite big, they're quite hard sci-fi, which I'm just starting to really, well, I'm into it, but like I haven't read that many. So I'm scared to not like them as much as I'm hoping for. And I have a few like other classic sci-fi that I've been reading that were written by men, and I swear half of them are really sexist, and it's starting to really piss me off. And I understand that, you know, things have changed and blah blah and like whatever, it just still makes me kind of dread reading them. So yes, a few other like classic sci-fi, really big ones are some of the most intimidating books on my bookshelves. So I think that's gonna be it for this intimidating TBR book video. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. Let me in the comment section what books you are intimidated to read. Which ones are in your TBR are so big that you just don't even want to touch them or think about reading them. Don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Don't forget to subscribe to not miss any future videos. I will be putting on the screen other videos that I've done that I recommend you check out. And I will see you in my next one. Bye.